I'm on the phone with Paul Boag, Web Design Director at Headscape out of the UK. Good evening, Paul, and thanks for agreeing to the interview.
Thanks for inviting me. Good to speak to you.
I appreciate that. You've been working in the web for a number of years, since 1994, in fact, and you're a standards evangelist and a sought-after speaker, and I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
I ran across a presentation that you recently did or were planning to do on battling bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah.
What was that session all about, and could you provide a couple of walkaways that you intended for the audience?
Sure. I mean, it was a presentation that I'd written that came out of our work that we've been doing for years with large government bodies and higher education institutions. Just really talking about some of the challenges that people within those organizations face in order to get a web project done. When there are large numbers of stakeholders involved, lots of people that want their say, it can be pretty challenging. And we've over the years developed a number of techniques that seem to help with that process. So one example of that would be design by committee, where you've got lots of different people that are trying to have their say about the design of a website or web application and kind of how to do that. So some of the suggestions that we made surrounding that is that you meet with people on a one-to-one basis. You avoid that kind of group dynamic where you get one alpha male kind of dominating the conversation, but instead you meet with people individually. Because if you meet with them individually, of course, not only do you break down that group dynamic, but you also end up being the only person that knows all of the different feedback that has been provided. So you can pick and choose which parts of the feedback you want to listen to. Other things that we talk about in that presentation is methods of gathering feedback and problems that can arise where you just send out a design look and feel for a website and ask people what they think. Then what you're doing is you're making the whole conversation very subjective. And so people inevitably start commenting on the design based on their personal preferences, colors that they like or dislike. And instead I talk about, how if you ask people to think about the business objectives or think about how users will respond to it, it becomes much less subjective. So, I mean, it's something that we kind of deal with a lot, and there was a real need out there to kind of provide some techniques for getting stuff done in big institutions.
Yeah, I appreciate that. In fact, I suspect that through that process, it not only accomplishes everything that you said, but it also may humanize the experience a little bit for each individual as well. In other words, if I were on that committee and you were to isolate me and talk to me one-on-one, I would feel like I'm perhaps contributing more.
Absolutely. Because what happens in group discussions like that is you get some individuals that are very dominant, that kind of dominate the whole conversation and push their own agenda. And then you get other people sitting there that are naturally more passive and they sit there very quietly but go away feeling frustrated, like no one's heard their opinion. So meeting with people on a one-to-one basis ensures that everybody gets an equal say and is listened to, on a kind of individual basis. So yeah, it certainly helps, I think, a lot to dig down. Also, people say things individually that they would never say, in a corporate group. I mean, the best moment in those kind of individual stakeholder interviews is where the person gets up and closes the door so nobody outside can hear. And that's the moment that you're going to get to something very interesting and something that probably will help you find a better solution.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. I appreciate that. How about small business? Have you given any thought to, how the same dynamic could support those many, freelance web professionals that are serving the small business community?
Sure. I mean, I've done quite a lot of work with helping small business owners. I did a series of videos a while back called Take IT On, where we talk about the challenges faced by small businesses. I mean, as web designers are working with small businesses, a lot of the same principles apply. The challenge that you face there is that the person that you're dealing with is almost always the business owner. And those business owners, obviously they're spending their own hard-earned cash and so are very passionate about what they get in return and have their own kind of ideas of what they want to get back. And what's really important there is to focus them on the right things, because they will, as everybody does, respond to design on a very personal basis. If as a child they were traumatized by a set of hideous blue curtains they had in their bedroom, they are therefore not going to like blue. So you have to kind of focus them on the right thing. So that's where getting the right kind of feedback and asking the right kind of questions is really important. So this whole principle of not asking them what they think, but asking them how they think users will respond to that, or asking them to concentrate on business objectives and does this meet your business objectives. Another really important thing to do is actually have a process that you take people through. So instead of having that ta-da moment where you suddenly show them the design, show them other sites that you think have got elements in that apply to their organization. Show them sketches you've done. Maybe do some mood boards, so do some wireframes. Take them to the point where when they see the final design, it's not going to be a surprise. And in actual fact, they feel like they have contributed to the creation of the design as much as you. If they feel like it's their design and not just your design, then they're not gonna turn it down, because you never reject your own work, do you?
Yeah, that's excellent advice, and I certainly appreciate that perspective. And for your time today, Paul.
No problem at all. I hope it was useful, and I hope it was useful to your listeners.
It is indeed. And where would we find more information about you? You often write about these topics?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I write all over the place and speak all over the place, but probably the best place to begin would be my own website, which is Boag World, BOAG world.com.